started. Hello, welcome to the Friends of Zeus podcast. We are doing episode 77. Can you believe it? I know, right? We've been doing this for like at least 3 months.
77 years.
Yeah, 77 years. Get the business out of the way. You can find us on, and by the way, I updated us. We now have episodes, I think like 30 all the way up to our last one, the Sri Lanka fiasco. So we got a good half of our catalog there. I'm going to start working backwards now. But you can find us on Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, the Facebook, or the Meta. Where else? Rumbles on Bumbles, Anchor, and Spotify. So tonight, we've been a lot lately been dealing with like heavier topics outside of our music one, which was 2 episodes ago. It's still one of my favorites. I had a blast on that one. But we've been dealing with like heavy stuff. And I wanted to deal with something that leans towards a heavy, but it's kind of uplifting. So I wanted to talk because in recent news, we've had a few like straight up regular guy heroes just doing what you got to do. The first one I wanted to mention is this guy right behind me. Eli Dickens, I believe is his name. And he is the guy that was in Indiana that there is an active shooter, walks into the mall. He's like hiding in the bathroom.
He was an active shooter?
No, the shooter was.
The
shooter was an active shooter. He was an inactive shooter.
Okay.
But so story is that he was carrying a concealed weapon. They were trying to vilify him a little bit at the beginning of this. I at least that's what I heard is he wasn't supposed to have a concealed weapon in this mall, yada yada yada. And I think they got beat down because I couldn't even find a story about it. I did find one that talked about Good Samaritans and how killing should never be part of that. Good Samaritan is about helping somebody on the side of the road, but I'd say this was helping a lot of people and keeping them alive. So for me, Good Samaritan's fine. But every time you see Good Samaritan, they always put it in quotes. I found interesting in whatever story. It's like Good Samaritan. But the kid, he's like 22, 20, or no, I think he's 25. He was at the mall. He pushes his girlfriend behind a kiosk, pulls out his gun, and doesn't just shoot the guy, but puts 8 in him out of 10 shots. And the whole time he's doing this, it wasn't like it was at 40 yards to begin with, but from my understanding from what I read, he was closing the distance. He was like he was moving towards this guy. So, I mean.
And what's his name? Let's say it, because since he's peeking up behind your shoulder.
It's Eli Dickens.
Or Elijah or something. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, he looks like a hardcore killer, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah.
Especially with that shirt.
What's that?
I said especially with that shirt. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like he's a member of the chess club, actually at Harvard. But brave son of a bitch. I'd like to think that's what I do. I don't know. Most of the hostile things I deal with don't have weapons, so there's a bit of comfort in that. I don't know with a gun. That's a scary, scary thought. But he's what inspired me. Because I couldn't imagine, like when I first heard about it, it really did seem like there was a lot of on the fence talk, like he shouldn't have had a concealed weapon, and it really does. It opens up the question of the guy, and maybe not this guy, but I know the guy on the 4th of July, he had legal weapons that he was licensed to have, and he did harm. This guy had a legal weapon that he was licensed to have, and he did good. And it does open up the arguments for and against. I can see where where both sides have an argument. This, who knows, maybe this will have a little bit of an effect on how people look at it, because right now everybody thinks of him as a hero. He was one of the guys that I was going to talk about. The other one, I sent Mike a PowerPoint. If you want to try and pull it up, this guy, no firearms involved, but do you have the ability to share the screen, Mike? Or
here we go.
So the other guy is this guy, Nick Bostic.
Can you guys see that okay?
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can play this.
Yeah. Did you hear about this guy, Jack?
I'm trying to see what you got over there. I'm waiting for the next slide, but I don't think I have, Zeus, to be honest with you. I heard about the first guy you mentioned, and I think the active shooter that he took down, I could be wrong, but he had a rifle, I believe.
AR-15, I think, that's like the gun of the madman.
Right. So this kid took his pistol up against the guy with an AR-15. So that takes an extra amount of balls, I would say.
Yeah, Glock 21. It's a 9mm. It was at 40 yards, they're saying.
Yes.
Great.
But this guy, if he had missed repeatedly, this guy would have obviously turned his AR-15 on him and taken him out. So, definitely, kudos to the young man, because I think a lot of people wouldn't, even with a gun, wouldn't have the balls to engage like that. I just don't see, I think most people wouldn't. So he's definitely a hero. I don't care what they say about the mall regulations. The mall cop wasn't going to do anything like this. He would have gotten shot.
And no military training. The story is that his grandfather took him out and taught him how to shoot.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, having a weapon, being in the right place at the right time, and knowing how to use it are three different things. And this guy definitely knew how to use it, and he reacted almost instantaneously. I mean, within seconds.
Yeah, they said 15 seconds.
So,
well, it's funny too, though, because I heard the active shooter, Mike, did shoot at least 4 people. Is that right, Zeus?
I want to say it was 6. 4 of them died. 2 were injured. I think that's it. It could have been more injured, but I'm fairly confident it was 3 or 4 that died. I want to say 4.
Okay. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying it's one of those things. When Zeus says, I'd like to think I would react this way. I mean, I think we'd all like to think we'd react that way, but it's really it's beyond like what you want to do. I think this is just my opinion. I think, obviously if the guy's been training, he knows how to use the weapon, that provides confidence. If he had just bought that and got his carry permit the day before, I doubt he'd be so quick on the.
But that's the thing. He didn't
draw
have
there.
like tactical training. He had no military training. He was taught how to shoot a gun.
Right. But some, I mean, he's proficient, which is huge. But I'm just saying, it's not just having the right tool and the willingness. You also have to have the nerve and and you have to be able to jump in and assess a situation very quickly. It's like that whole thing. Like, I'm one of those people, like when I was younger, I'd get in an argument with someone. I would figure out the perfect thing to say 3 hours later, right? Like, it was like, I'd be like, damn it, it's right. Well, so I'd like to think, right? But who knows? I mean, the fact is, we don't know until we're really really challenged. And I honestly, I'm one of these people. I do believe the moment picks you to a degree.
And just let's put it into perspective. 40 yards is nearly half a football field. When I was in the Army, I learned to shoot an M16, and we did, I want to say 300 yards. And I was an expert. I was good with an AR-15. So, and I'm not an avid gun user or anything. I was just good with it. I knew how to aim, point, and shoot. So with an M16, you got a pretty damn good chance of taking somebody out at 40 yards.
Oh, yeah.
50 shots. With a pistol, however, that's a whole nother animal. There's a lot more involved in that. It's
Mhm.
how you hold it. It's you take breaths, all kinds of stuff that's involved. And he put 8 into this guy.
It's
Even if,
astounding.
what's that?
It's astounding.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
Should I play this video? Can you guys see this?
Well, we don't have it on the main screen yet. You got to click on the
I do.
slide. Oh, you do?
I do.
Okay. Maybe it's not showing on. Yeah, go ahead and play it. This is a really great video. So this other guy, no guns involved, just a hero.
Oh no, I don't see the video either. I see PowerPoint. That's what I'm looking at.
So the next guy that I wanted to talk about was this guy, Nick Bostic. He, I believe, was 22 years old, pizza delivery guy. He's driving down the street and he sees his house on fire and it's blazing. What you'll see in the video when we show it later is the tail end of it. So he's coming running up to the firefighters with this little girl in his hand. They immediately, he's just sitting on the sidewalk and they're trying to take care of him. And he's like, is she okay? Oh my God, is she okay? Like he's worried about the little girl. And they put him down on the ground and immediately you see him putting a tourniquet on his forearm because he bashed a window and jumped out with this little girl. But that wasn't the only one that he saved. He saved 5 kids in this fire.
Yeah.
And then they were like, there's another girl in there. So he ran back, he ran around, I guess he ran around the house to begin with, to the back where it wasn't as bad, and covers his face with his shirt to protect him from the smoke, and just goes in blind listening for her voice, finds her, pulls her out, and the video that we'll show at the end shows it all. And it's just the nobility of it. Like, this is like literally, he had no horse in the race. He could have been just like a million other people that just stand there and look at the fire and don't do anything. And he not only went in once and saved 4 kids, but then goes and puts himself in far more jeopardy to save a 6-year-old girl. So kudos to him. And you saw the picture of him. His arm got jacked up. No offense, Jack. It got shredded apparently. I mean, if you were to ask me, I'm guessing we're gonna probably, if we hear about him anymore, we're gonna hear like muscle damage, something like that. Because if they're putting on a tourniquet, it was deep. But yeah, it was a really cool story. The video's pretty intense. I want to say that they with these 2 guys, they've got GoFundMe already for them. But yeah, man, and talk about intestinal fortitude. I think at 22 years old, I was probably more likely to start the fire than to save anybody from it. You know what I mean?
But yeah, but also, I mean, do you think there's a part of this with the age? I mean, if you're that age, you're not thinking of mortality very often, and you're not necessarily someone that has people that are relying on you for their well-being at that point. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm just saying maybe there is something with that.
I think it's probably
age.
Yeah, I think I mean, we don't really learn about mortality in our youth until usually you lose somebody or you hear of somebody that had some impact on your life. You know, maybe it's a Jimi Hendrix, you know, dies of a drug overdose when you're like 13. And that's when you learn about mortality. I'm never going to hear or see anything new from that person ever again. And then you kind of reflect that back onto yourself. And that's where we really get our grasp of mortality. That's how I think it probably works.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, everything we do is learned experience. There's nothing that's just infused in you from birth. That's all instinct. That's eat, drink, run, you know, those things. to do something that brave, especially at his age where he's at the like cusp of that knowing my mortality thing. Where at 21, 22, you're still kind of invincible. You'll still do some pretty fucking stupid things. Even if it's just drinking way more than a human should drink in a night. You do stupid things and you feel as though it won't affect you because it never did before, but this is your first experience, you know? So I think I probably carried that on too far. I wanted to address what Mike had said because I think there's an interesting comparison here in the heroes in these stories and some of the other ones that I'll talk about are all around the same age. And
That's just something good for the millennials that we don't normally talk about, I guess. If these kids are all about 22 to 25 years old, you know, maybe there's hope yet.
But what I was going to get at is that the ones that are going into the malls and shooting innocent people or walking into the Walmart in, I want to say it was El Sena, Texas, I know it's near El Paso. They're 25, you know, 22, 25. So it's interesting. And what I fear is that we have pretty much the same amount of the heroic ones that are out there. But now I think there's been an upswing in the dastardly, you know, sons of bitches that just want to watch the world burn. I think that number's growing. The other number's kind of staying the same because all those kids are like, I mean, yes, you got some stragglers that are like 16, 18, but most of them are in that 20 to 25 range and they're just disassociated with society and they do bad things. And then you got the same age group, probably with fathers in the home, you know, the one kid, his grandfather's the one that taught him how to shoot the gun. So at least he had a positive male role model. It's just interesting. I'm curious to see how it pans out.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that's a small point, Zeus, that, you know, behavior, any behavior, good behavior, bad behavior, is really modeled, right? So people that, you know, exhibit any type of chronic behavior, typically they've seen it before in their life, either, you know, from their parents, from siblings, from friends, whatever. You know, if you grow up in a household with a strong father figure in the house that teaches, you know, the right and wrong and chivalry, not in the Lord of the Rings sense, but, you know, in general, and all this sort of stuff, it kind of gets ingrained into you. If you don't have that person, or if you have someone that is abusive to your mom, or, you know, just kind of a rat or whatever,
Well,
you know, you're not seeing that behavior modeled to do. And I think your point, and I don't know, I mean, I could be totally wrong, but I bet you both of these guys, the kid that ran in the house and the other one, probably have some pretty positive role models in their life.
Well, yeah, definitely the one. I don't know anything about the Nick Bostic, the Pizza Hut or pizza delivery guy. Oh, well, shameless plug. Hope we get some money. But what I will say is that we do hear broken homes with people that are doing the bad things, and like this guy, one of the first things they talk about is that his grandfather taught him to shoot. So that leads me to believe that there's at least one male role model, and, you know, or not one positive role model, because I was going to say I don't even necessarily think that it has to be a male role model. I think that it has to be different thought processes. So, you know, in our binary, non-binary world, you know, two women that raise a child or two men that raise a child, I think that's just as good, but I think it's that not having a soundboard for one of them to play off the other. I think that it can be just as effective with any nuclear type family, but you know, who knows? We're at the beginning of a lot of these societal changes. We'll know more 50 years from now, but like Jack was saying, it does bode well for the millennials, at least with these two guys. You know, being more current and yeah, like I said, just being in this time period, they're showing a positive for millennials. I don't know if I like or dislike millennials. I don't like a lot of the things that are coming out at the same time as millennials are something that we're discussing, but yeah, they're pretty cool. Pretty cool. Yeah, so I'm gonna go back a little further. So there was this guy named James Shaw Jr. He was at I don't wanna state it wrong. It wasn't a Denny's, it was a Waffle House. This was around, like, I want to say maybe 2017, 2018. Some guy walks into the Waffle House and starts shooting people. And this guy, and I love what he says later, he got grazed on the elbow, and then he went into survival mode, and it was legitimately survival mode. And like tackle guy Russell, he grabbed the gun, he got second-degree burns on his hands from grabbing the gun. But the shooter ran out, and I guess they caught him later. But he definitely saved lives. He had a great statement. He said, I did that completely out of a selfish act. I was completely doing it just to save myself. Now, me doing that, I did save other people. But, you know, I mean, I don't mind that.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's definitely, I was going to bring this up earlier, like how much in these situations, you know, if there's a scale of, you know, being purely selfish and then selfless, right? So I gotta believe there's got to be instances like that, like something happens and someone's like, hell no, and like starts whooping some butt, you know, on the bad guys, and then it's like, oh yeah, okay, there were 20 other people here that got saved. You know, I'm sure that happens a lot. But seriously, I think there's more good people than crazy bad people.
I do too, but I think the bad
We just don't see them.
They're presenting themselves more.
And they're being presented more.
Yeah, and if we look at, I mean, we could actually, if we really wanted to delve deep into this, the bad people are going to places with very vulnerable targets for the most part. Walmarts, not where you see the fittest people. Waffle houses. I mean, we want to make our jokes. You can say probably geriatric.
I don't think that's a fair statement, Zeus. Come
What's
on.
that?
I don't think that's a fair statement.
I'm being a bit sarcastic with that, but what I'm saying is that they're soft targets. They're places where people are in a leisurely
eating waffles.
Everywhere is a soft target. I mean,
yeah,
where is not a soft target?
Yeah, that's what they pretty much.
Military base.
They did that.
Even the guy you talked about attacked a food court in a mall. You had the guy in Buffalo go after like a Stop and Shop or some kind of supermarket, and then obviously we had recently Uvalde, the softest target of all, a public school with the doors open.
Yeah.
So you're right, though, Zeus. They're picking those places because the chances of them getting taken out by an armed civilian or even a cop are very, very slim, right? Until the damage is done. I think most of these crackpots know that in the end they're going to get taken out, right?
I think some of them want to get taken out. Yeah.
Their goal is to kill as many people as possible. So naturally, they're going to pick a target where it's going to be fish in a barrel.
Yeah. Which again leads, I think, you know, if you want to compare them, the guy going into the small restaurant is certainly more vulnerable to be being taken down, I think, than a Walmart or a mall where there's
Those Walmart people are pretty tough. They
well,
sell
there are
guns in
guns
there.
at the
Keep in mind,
Walmart.
they sell
there are
guns,
guns,
and
yeah.
knives in Walmart.
Oh, dude, I think I don't know. Am I the only one that's thought about these situations and like what would you do? And like I'm thinking I'm gonna find the soup aisle or whatever. I'm gonna find cans and pillowcases, and I'm gonna try and I mean if I have the wherewithal to do it.
Cans and I mean to shield yourself.
No, you put a few cans in a
Oh,
in a pillowcase.
I thought you were gonna be hiding behind soup
Bad
cans.
boys, come
Well,
on.
that too.
Get those big chunky soup cans with the beef in it.
No,
It's a
it's
real
more
stopping
like-
power.
It's more like the movie with Steve Martin, The Jerk. He hates these cans.
Cans.
Yeah, you'll see Zeus getting shot at because of the can.
This guy clearly hates cream of mushroom soup.
Get
but
this
but
cream beef.
everybody has thought about it. Grab a wrench, grab a hammer, fucking do.
Yeah.
Would you do something? So yeah, I probably would lean towards wanting to be at the Walmart or the mall.
There's a lot of choices there.
Yeah, quite a bit more choices. Maybe not the mall. Actually, the Walmart's probably the safest one.
Yeah, a lot of
You can hunker down. You can live there for a while.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying. I just feel like, you know, you guys were saying that somebody went into a hospital and did this. I haven't heard one about a hospital because that one would affect me greatly. I haven't heard about
Yeah,
that.
the guy assassinated his doctor.
Oh, well, that's not, I'm talking mass shootings. I don't think I've heard.
Yeah, well, he killed like 2 or 3 other people too in the hospital.
Oh, really? Okay. I know there was one where I work, around 2016, some guy had a gun and he shot it off, but I think he maybe clipped one person and then that was it. But he got taken out by like hospital security. We got some pretty badass security there. They're big dudes.
Yeah. There was one in Tulsa, Zeus, a while back of a mass shooting.
Okay. I just hadn't heard of it.
Happens.
Generally, I mean, I do, it's really awful because it's like you said, they're going for the most damage possible. Like the guy in Las Vegas, he was shooting into a concert, or the Ariana Grande thing where they set up pipe bombs in a concert.
Did they ever figure out what his beef was?
They've never released anything about that. There's like
I
no
problem.
I don't like that either. I don't like when they don't give us the end of the story. But
Where's Paul Harvey when you need him? Someone call that guy.
So yeah, so I wanted to mention about this James Shaw Jr. He's the guy that was at the Waffle House. The thing I like about this is I was noticing a trend that they're doing these GoFundMe. So this guy, like they did a GoFundMe and he got like $200,000 or greater. It says greater than 200,000. But I really love what he said because he was like, it's like out of cowardice comes strength. You know what I mean? It's pretty cool to see somebody overcome that fight or flight. That's like breaking your caveman brain. That's like really cool shit.
Yeah, it's the selflessness and not just the desire, but the ability and, let's face it, some luck, you know, to be in a good position at the right time, you know.
I was reading the article. It said when the gunman like stopped either to like reload or his gun jammed for just a moment, that's when he like jumped. He took that opportunity to jump on and try to grab the gun away from the guy.
Yeah, I didn't read anything about military training or anything like that. He was an electrician. That's what he was. Not a job that teaches you very much about self-defense.
Well,
so, you know.
Well, how not to electrocute yourself.
Yeah, maybe if he had a battery and a couple wires, he could have, you know, MacGyvered
Some
it.
real damage.
But giving him the chair right there.
It's also it can be dangerous it is dangerous, obviously, to jump into something like that, because not only are you going to draw enemy fire, you know, or the attention of whoever's being a crazy person, but other people may mistake you as the bad guy. So if you have a weapon and you're in Home Depot and you're sitting in the crapper and you start hearing bullets going on, you know, being fired, and you're like, oh man, I got this. And you get up and you go out and you see this guy like shooting down an aisle, and then you shoot him, and turns out he's another concealed carry guy that was shooting at the guy that was really shooting, you know, whatever. I mean, there's a lot of luck.
But you thought, but I thought.
Yeah. I mean, and I think there was a case, it was within this, the last year, but where a guy this was outside and he was responding to someone that was shooting, and he started shooting them, and the police shot the guy that was the good guy.
Yeah.
And killed him.
I'm sorry, I'm picturing the end of Reservoir Dogs where it's like, don't you stop pointing that gun at my daddy. Like just the confusion of it all, everybody's pointing guns at everybody. Yeah.
And like I said, it's also having the ability, like I've always thought, I think I mentioned this before, like I've been always really good at looking at a car's taillights like way ahead, and like identifying what the car is. Like I've just done it since I was a kid.
Mhm.
So I've gotten so I'm like, man, if I was ever in a situation where there was like some bad guy in a getaway car trying to get away, and I happen to be in the right spot, so like a mile away, I could be like, that was a '88 Plymouth Colt. I can guarantee it. I don't know the color, you know, whatever.
Yes, officer, that was a Buick Corsair. I can
Yeah,
tell just by the taillights.
but I mean, it's like,
Get the plate number? No.
what-
but
no.
the taillights were
But
awesome.
what are the odds that would ever happen to me? I'd have to be in the, you know, I'd be the guy. I'm who you want in that position, but who knows?
Yeah, then you'd be a real hero, Mike.
Then I'd be a real hero.
So you follow them a mile back for how long?
No, I see them and then I pass them, and yeah. I'm just saying there's a lot of luck involved in this. And I think
drove by and gave him one of these.
I think there's a lot of people like the dudes that want to play cop, right? You know, they get the tricked out truck or the car, and they're like packing heat, and they got the high and tight, and they're all like got the vests and whatever. And then yeah, and then you got this kid that was just the pizza delivery guys driving by, seeing a house on fire, just F it, goes running in. I mean, it's hard to know, man.
I like to think that I would do that.
They gave him a huge sum of money. He said it was like life changing.
Yeah.
Like this guy's a pizza guy. He's not making good money. Because it's not generally us. It's not the 50-year-old guys that order the pizza. We're like, fuck that. I'm not going to pay $30 for a pizza. It's teenagers and 20-year-olds that don't tip. You know, he was probably like, well, this has got to be better than anything else I was doing tonight.
Let's
He
hope
ran back in there to get his tip.
Yeah, maybe he set the fire.
Where's my effing tip?
Yeah, maybe he
It's
burned the
interesting
place
that
down.
Maybe he set the fire, because the next one that I wanted to talk about was
We didn't start the fire though.
No.
It was always burning.
Nice.
Billy Joel started the fire.
So, yeah.
JFK. So the next guy, do you guys remember this guy? His name is Glendale Oakley. He was the one in El Paso.
Glendon.
Glendon, yeah. So he's in, what's that?
Was that the church?
No, I believe it was a Walmart, or a you know, one of those kind of stores. And he dude walks in. Yeah, I'm 90% sure it was the Walmart. It's the one that they started to say that this was focused on Hispanic people, like
Oh yeah.
and so this guy, Glendon Oakley, he was military. I know I was talking earlier. I didn't really want to do it about military, because military, you kind of go in, you're always in hero mode, like, or you got that plan B part of you.
That training.
Yeah. So you can walk around regular, but shit goes down, you know what to do. So this guy, he's in there. he sees the guy, thinks it's squirrely. I want to say he came like face to face with the guy, and then turned around and ran the other way. And then he gets to, like, it's in a mall. He gets to this play area, and there's all these kids in there. So he grabs like five or six kids and takes them down a few more stores and gets them safe. But yeah, he was considered a hero. He said, I didn't even think, I just grabbed as many kids as I could and ran 5 stores down to the exit. We got there and ran into a whole batch of police pointing their guns at us. I wasn't focused on myself and I wasn't focused on my surroundings. I was just focused on those kids. So, I mean, I get that. I told you guys about not too long ago when I jumped the fence to chase the dude that ran out of the ER. Clearly, he was a mental patient. And nobody was jumping over the fence. This was what I found upsetting. And here I am, the 50-year-old guy, slowly climbing over the fence, but climbing over the fence nonetheless, because when I saw over on the other side of the fence, it was like kids everywhere. Like, so I get that. That does kind of put, I think that would, you see kids in danger, I think that puts a hell of a lot more people into you know, got to do something mode. I'm not saying hero mode or anything like that, but got to cause a distraction, got to get him running further, got to do something that can change the situation. So I really did appreciate what this guy did, and the fact that he saved kids, could have saved our kids. You know what I mean?
Turn out to be, I'm reading his story, and like after he claimed to have gone in there and rescued kids, and then later his story came under question because I don't know, I don't want to.
There's
There's the guy, but there seems to be some doubt about his story.
Yeah,
and
but then
I think he killed himself like the next year.
No, see, that's where it's wrong. They reneged on from the articles that I read, they reneged on the whole idea that the timing wasn't right.
Okay, so they later, but he's still, I think he was found dead like a year later.
Yeah, he didn't kill himself. That's the weird thing.
He was like 23 years old.
Yeah, he's 23 years old, and from what I could gather, they found him in his barracks, just dead. Which
how does that happen?
Well, see, here's the weird thing about it. There was a lot of talk at the time with that shooting that there was 2 shooters, but they couldn't find any people witnessed and said that they saw 2 shooters. And I don't want to disparage him either.
So what difference does that make to his story? I mean, he still he heard shots and he went in and arrested the kids.
Well, I don't want to disparage either, but it does, you know, I won't give a conspiracy that I've thought of, but it does lend to conspiracy. Why is this guy found dead? And then they made a point of mentioning in at least one of the articles that, well, he clearly wasn't killed. Like, but nobody was asking.
He died.
Killed, right?
It's weird.
So there's something weird about his story. I tend to believe that it was just a lot of kinky coincidence, and that he was exactly what he said, and that unfortunately, for one reason or another, call it an aneurysm, a TIA, a stroke, you know,
COVID shot.
Yeah.
Well, it was 2019. I think he might have died.
Oh.
Oh yeah. Well, if he did have COVID, that's what it'll get marked down as.
April 10, 2020.
Yeah.
So it could have been the vaccine.
Yes.
No, they didn't have the vaccine in 2020.
Oh yeah.
You guys are gonna get us flagged. Come on, Mike.
Speaking of flags, did you bring up, so a lot of these incidents, people bring up false flags. Did you talk about that already?
Nah, I'm not I don't like to promote even the the discussion of false flags.
Yeah, I
think
don't
there's
see
really
any.
garbage.
I mean, all the Alex Jones stuff, and he got into huge trouble with the Sandy. What was it Sandy Hook?
Yeah.
Where he
Yeah.
said the whole thing was staged and
Conspiracy
the
actors.
kids were actors and
Yeah.
some nonsense like this. I mean, I don't know why every time there's like a shooting, they're always like, well, that guy was planted there. It's weird. And then sometimes there all are these weird coincidences, but I don't know.
We're living in a world with 8 billion people. There are going to be, and there is the linear thinking that we all share. You're going to have coincidences that match up nearly exactly. Most children, I think we've said this before, but almost every child across the world, their first word is no, because it's the first word, or in their language, whatever it is. But the point being is that they all learn that first, because that's what we say when we want to protect them. So yes, there 8 billion people, you're going to have some shit repeat, and it's just going to be because we're, in some weird ways, we're kind of a hive mind, and it just happens that way. I feel like there's something hinky that we're going to hear about later. I think it's sad, regardless. He was 23, but again, all these guys were like young and did what needed to be done. There is a beauty and a bravery that comes with not knowing how incredibly mortal you actually are. I did want to go outside of these ones. I found a couple other interesting stories. You guys might remember the one, but the one that I thought was really cool was, so I was reading about James Blunt. He was actually considered a hero for not shooting anybody. Apparently he was like a scout in the British Army, and they were at this airfield that the Russians had taken over. I want to say it was in Kosovo, Sarajevo maybe, and an American general was like, you guys need to go in and take them out. And they outnumbered the Russian soldiers pretty substantially, I guess. And Blunt was like, not gonna do it. We can, there's other ways to do this. Like, they
Sing a song.
Yeah, you can sing a song. You can tell them how beautiful they are. But he was about to tell this to the American general, and then his commander jumps in and he's like, no, we're not going to cause World War III, because this would have been an act of aggression against the Russians. It could have been bad. So instead, he surrounded the airport and they cut off their supplies. And then the Russians finally, they were like, look, can we just share the airport? Like, it didn't even need to be, I guess, an aggressive, like a start shooting people kind of situation. It was just like one of those more political than it was anything else kind of situations. It wasn't like the Russians weren't like shooting at them. They were just, they had the airport.
Using diplomacy, I guess. Is that what
Yeah, the diplomacy saved lives. And I just thought that was interesting because,
yeah,
you know, song's pretty good. I didn't know he was at all on any level that had any valor to him or anything. So I just thought that was interesting. The other one, and this is more a story about heroes that save themselves. Do you guys remember? It was a few years back. There were these 3 girls that were kidnapped by this guy. I can't
Cleveland, I think.
It was in Cleveland. They were kidnapped by this guy, and he was just
Holding them in the basement or something.
Yeah, and he impregnated one. They had the baby in the house.
It's like a horror movie.
Oh yeah. It's like that Brie Larson, that movie, The Room.
Yeah,
Like
that was a great movie.
Yeah, I think this was probably the movie was probably based on.
Probably, yeah.
So there were 3 of them in there, and the one girl who he impregnated, and apparently it wasn't just, if I remember correctly, it wasn't just him. It was like his buddies. Like, it was just a shady situation. And so the baby girl, I guess she's not a baby at this point, she goes down, and I guess mom had taught her that you tell us if daddy, for lack of a better term, is there. And the baby came up and said daddy wasn't there, and that's when she bolted. She grabbed the kid, bolted. They had to like climb through the screen door, but like, talk about brave. And now they're doing stuff with like, you know, missing children and all that. But this went over 10 years. The one that was there the longest, 10 years of abuse. I mean,
well, hey, Zeus, wait a minute though. If I remember that story, wasn't she trapped in the house and there was a guy eating his McRib sandwich who helped her get out? And
yeah, there was a big McRib spike that year for McDonald's, actually.
No, do you remember that though?
Yeah, but he helped her after she was like, they got out on their own. He came and kind of got the assist.
And the McRib, how did the McRib fit in?
I don't know.
I'm telling you, if you do a YouTube search of the McRib guy, the McRib Cleveland hero, no, he got to talk to the news and it went viral. That's all I can tell you.
He got to talk because he was talking about his McRib.
Yes.
Okay, we'll have to add that video at the end as well.
Oh, if you can, Mike, if you can find it, or Tom, it's
he was just setting, he was upstairs in the house, I guess.
He was
a sandwich.
He was on his porch. He was on his porch outside.
This is a case of false arches. McDonald's set the whole thing up so they could advertise.
I'm telling you, do a search, you'll find it.
A McRib. All right.
McRib. I mean, is there anything that sandwich can't do?
No, nothing.
You can't beat barbecue sauce.
No, they clearly need to make it available all throughout the year.
Make heroes of all of us.
But here's, I not just to be a contrarian here, Zeus. I don't know if I would put that in as hero behavior. I think that's super brave. I think it's helping yourself survive. I think it's, desperate attempt at, keeping your life. I don't know if it's a hero. I mean, does it really fit? I mean, in other words, for to be hero, you have to be kind of like unexpected. You're kind of thrown in the middle of something. I mean, maybe
you're talking about 3 people, but the one is the one that facilitated their escape.
Their escape.
So
they all got out?
Yeah. They all got out. They're all safe. I think he was found dead in prison. Godspeed. Not too long after, but that tends to happen to your people that rape and do the child molesting. So good. Yeah. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say pedophiles should be hurt badly. I don't give a shit. I know. I'm sorry. Third rail.
Yeah. Out on a limb.
Yeah. Really hanging off. I mean, so that's what I had. I don't know if you guys had any that stood out for you that you recalled.
I mean, in wartime, there's always a bunch in wartime, but like Schindler's List Schindler was like trying to save as many as he could.
Mm-hmm.
There's guys like that.
I'm more talking, but I'm more talking about like true grit, like people like us, not a Schindler who was,
Well, he was just a businessman. He wasn't
power. Clearly,
but he went up against the Nazis. That's pretty big. I mean, that's not a.
He was risking a lot.
Sandwich.
He was risking a lot.
He didn't just risk a McRib.
Yeah, he didn't. We're not talking McRib sandwiches here. We're talking Nazis.
Or the people that hid Anne Frank. I mean, there's a bunch in wartime. I'm sure you could always find examples.
And especially if you look at, I mean, again, and that's why I was telling them at the beginning. You weren't here. You showed up late. But we were talking about
Zing.
I'm just kidding. We were talking about how I kind of wanted to go away from like the people that their plan B mode is like. I mean, yes, Schindler. I was trying to keep it a little closer and kind of address society at large.
Well, you
Hmm.
brought
But, I
up
mean,
the
yes.
war. You brought up the war guy in England.
Oh well, yeah, but I was bringing up the act of nonviolence, and he was like an honorable mention. I just thought that it was interesting.
Well,
that-
Schindler would be the same. I mean, he didn't shoot the Nazis. He was saving people.
Have you guys ever been in this? Here's a weird question, and this may just say more about me than that I probably shouldn't say, but have you ever been in a situation or in a place and you're like, man, if something happened to me right now, I'd be totally dead because none of the people around here have any idea what CPR is? Or have you guys ever been in that situation?
Yes, every night when I go to sleep, I have a little fear that
No,
I
I'm just
might
saying,
not wake up.
like, you know, like when we're at the Million Nurses March in DC, I was like, man,
Oh,
if I have
yeah.
a heart attack, this is great. Like there's 1,000 nurses around here, right? But like I was sitting in the auto shop having my car worked on earlier this evening, and I was just like, man, if I had a stroke or something, I'd be dead. Because like no one around here would even know the last thing to do, you know?
I
Like,
remember
you want a hero to be around. Like I don't like crowds, but there's a better chance of having a hero in a crowd, I guess. I don't know.
Or
So
if
I
you,
remember after 9/11, I went to Pentagon City Mall, right? And they're telling everybody, be vigilant, look for things that are strange. And I go, this was when I was more the cowardly Zeus. I saw this guy standing in front of the mall. He looked to be from a certain region of the world. I don't want to like, you know, pigeonhole anybody or be disparaging. But he was holding a video camera and just filming the entrance of the mall, which I found disconcerting. Because they talked about with like 9/11, they had remember they showed pictures of like some of the terrorists
Scouting out stuff.
yeah, scouting stuff out. And that was the first thing I thought of. So I ran in and, you know, told security, got myself away from the situation. And this really pissed me off because they were just like, it was basically, yeah, we'll get around to it. I'm like, you're next to the Pentagon, you fucking morons. This is what they were telling us on the news is a soft target. Like, we didn't even know what a soft target was before 9/11. That was thrown right into the old vocabulary of the entire United States, if not everywhere. But yeah, so I've been in some of those situations where like I wasn't gonna go up to the guy. Fuck no, because if he was a baddie, I'd have been
kick him in the kneecap. Take the camera, right?
Yeah, I don't know.
Flip a table over.
Yeah, I've been in a few of those situations. I was at Jack might have been around for this one at my sister's. Remember my sister's house in McLean? We went there once or twice.
Yeah,
The older
maybe.
sister. I want to say maybe you weren't there. She had a party, and a gun goes off upstairs. And this is my sister. Yeah, you weren't there. I just found out. I never knew I had this sister, so I didn't know where she was. So I ran upstairs. Luckily, the situation was already clear, but yeah, I don't know. Bravery is a scary fucking thing. What was it?
Wait, so who shot who?
Nobody shot anybody. The guy had a gun, shot it up in the air, just stupid and drunk, but scared the hell out of me. But yes, so my guess, I'm very familiar with those situations. Unfortunately, they seem to be far too prevalent in my life. What I want to know.
That showed that you actually, I mean, if something happened, you took action. You went up there to see what was going on.
Yeah, and I've learned that I've got some capability to like shut down the flight, but I don't know if it's the smartest. It's a smart capability. I think it's.
Well, wait a minute, Zeus, before you went upstairs, did you get all the canned goods and put them in a pillowcase? Or no?
Yeah, I hadn't seen Bad Boys yet.
Grab the McRib.
You put
Threw
his
that in
McRib
there, too.
down.
Random.
Yeah.
Sean Penn would not have saved my life that night.
Soup cans in the pillowcase. I got
Yeah,
to
that's
remember
it, man.
Have you not seen Bad Boys, Mike?
He used soda cans.
I did.
That was soda
Oh,
cans.
soda cans. No, yeah,
Oh, soda
unfortunately,
cans,
I did see that movie quite a bit.
So I just got to ask all of us looking at Mike's screen there. I just want to ask, where have all the good men gone?
Mhm.
Come on, you don't get it?
I didn't get
You
the
don't?
picture.
It's a Bonnie Raitt video. From I Need a Hero, or Holding Out for a Hero.
I know the song. God.
Yeah.
Bonnie Raitt
Now
did that song?
Bonnie Taylor. Bonnie Taylor.
Tyler?
Bonnie Tyler?
Bonnie Tyler. What was the movie? Well, oh, now we're just.
Footloose.
Where's your tangent background?
Footloose, I think, and then they used it in Shrek too, or the second Shrek, I think, as
Okay.
well.
It's safe to say we can cut off.
I don't know, man. It was either this or Voltron.
My-
I don't know.
Behind-
That's
who's behind you, Zeus?
that is
a young,
he's the guy that we're pals.
The guy who just
he's-
took out the shooter in the mall.
I thought it was a young
Oh.
Joe Biden the way he was creeping behind you there.
Wow, he was sniffing my hair.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
lifted away.
So Jack, what is it you usually say around this time?
Yeah.
Does anyone have, so wait, real quick though, does anyone have any examples of when they leapt into action over something? Could be small. I mean, obviously not everyone's gonna get a GoFundMe page or save people's lives, but did you ever like do something spontaneous and selfless?
Mainly with the kids, I would think. You always
What?
kind of you're always with the kids.
Oh yeah.
Always kind of like step in between them and danger.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah, but I don't know if I ever put my life on the line. Like I never dove into a swimming pool and even that wouldn't be anything because I know how to swim more or less. So no, I got to give that a big no. I don't think I've ever rushed against anybody with a gun or a knife or
Yeah.
no. It's a big
I mean,
no.
I
I'm a
haven't, but
selfish
not-
person.
I'm sorry?
I said I guess I'm a selfish person, or I haven't had the opportunity, like Mike said.
Yeah,
I think-
the opportunity hasn't happened yet.
The opportunity is a huge part of it. It's at the end of the slides that I sent, there was a great line that I read. It was heroes are made by the paths they choose, not the powers that they're graced with. So, I mean, that says it all. It's not. It's what you choose to do in the moment. You don't necessarily have to be. I mean, conveniently, I am a big guy. I'm kind of quick. I mean, I don't intimidate. I don't intimidate easy, which allows me some of that. But I've never put myself in mortal danger. But I've jumped in a few situations, but I probably shouldn't have. You know, but I wouldn't call it heroic. I would just call it getting shit done. You know, it's just how my dad raised me. You know, you know, and I think that has a lot to do with it. Back to the whole, you know, having a male role model. My stepfather swam across a bayou in Louisiana, and I think I told you guys about this, where I got burnt on the hand and the face, and he dragged a boat, like rope over his shoulder, swimming in the shore and in the bayou. There's alligators everywhere, like, so, you know, there's some pretty big shoes to fill. I haven't done anything that even resembles that, but I'd like to think that if the opportunity arose and I was able to do something and safely walk away from it, I probably would. I don't know. What do you guys think? What would you do?
Yeah, I mean, again, I think everyone would like to think they would. I would like to think I would. I mean, I've stopped on a few occasions to help people and that were in a car accident, but that's not like I wasn't putting myself in danger. But yeah, I think when I was younger, I'd probably think less about it than I would now with a child. Honestly, I'd be like, I don't want to get killed in some stupid shit. You know what I mean? Like I want to. I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and like watch someone get killed or something. But yeah, I'd definitely be more hesitant now than I was when I was younger, 100%, because I don't want to be like, orphaning my child or something. But other than that, I mean, who
Gung
would?
ho.
I mean, I think there's something. I think for certain people, you guys like the Marvel stuff more than I do, but everyone loves heroes and hero stories. And when you're a kid and you're playing Star Wars figures or whatever, or cops and robbers or whatever, you imagine yourself in a heroic role. So I think at least culturally, it's kind of ingrained in us that is a desirable thing, whether we measure up to it or not. I think it's something that everyone kind of likes to think that they would behave that way.
I also don't think that, unlike the villains in our story tonight, who probably a lot of them do want to go out, suicide by cop. I think most heroic people don't dive into the situation with their own mortality as what they feel
in the front of their mind.
You bring up the Ronald Reagan assassination. Wasn't there a guy that jumped in front of
Yeah.
John Hinckley? Was it James Brady?
Yeah, Brady Bill is all about him. He got shot in the head. I think he's still alive.
For the president, man.
Yeah. Did you ever see, this is kind of a tangent, but not too far. Have you ever seen the video of Reagan? It's like a month and a half after
yes. And there was like a noise and he
yeah,
said,
balloon pops and there's this audible gasp and then he's like, I'm okay.
No, he said, miss me.
Miss me. That's right.
But yeah, some people definitely have bravery in their DNA. Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad we did this one. I think we needed something that was talking about something a little more positive in society. Yeah, it's nice talking about people doing the right things and not causing harm to others through their own indifference or their own rage.
Like Jack, if a snake is coming at you this weekend,
we're gonna be right on it.
I'll jump in front of you and I'll take that snake bite for you.
Yeah, Jack's gonna be George Costanza running out of the building on fire, pushing down old lady.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll be like, sorry, Dana.
So, do any of you guys know first aid or Heimlich maneuver or anything? Just curious.
I don't know anything about it.
It would make me feel a lot more comfortable if you guys brushed up on your Heimlich maneuver.
Here's the thing. I can ask you how you feel about your mortality. That's what I.
While he's joking.
While I'm joking.
Like, how do you feel about that joking?
Let's have a discussion.
Well, speaking of which, I don't know if we want to wrap this up because we've been on for a while now, boys. But maybe we could talk about the camping trip, maybe via text, because I think it's getting kind of late.
It's kind of late. Yeah, and I got to check out, but we can do text thread.
Yeah, I need to know what to bring, boys.
Okay, and I'm planning on being there Friday. And Saturday.
And the fair.
Right, well, we've been on for a while. It's time to wrap things up.
Let's wrap this up. Go get some McRibs.
Hey, thanks a lot, Zeus.
Right?
Good job, Zeus.
All right, thanks. Fun time, guys.
Take care.
Yep. So you have to click on the slide, Mike.
Yeah, and I played this.
There we go. Now click it.
Yeah, it's not.
You have to hit Control and left click.
You guys seeing this? You guys see any
No.
video?
No.